I'm Roy Potter, a former U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel. Welcome to the Potter Expositor. Hi ladies and gentlemen, it's the late hours of April 8th, 2017, soon to be the early morning hours of April 9th, 2017. I've made several videos over the last couple of days about the world situation, especially the problem with Syria, China, North Korea, the inaction of our government in going after the criminals in our government like Hillary Clinton, Podesta, all of the things in the 650,000 emails on the Wiener laptop, the slow work on the pedophile thing. It went up through the supplier ranks and then it slowed down. Great patriots and former military like Craig Sawyer have kind of taken up that banner, but I don't think they're getting a lot of support from the government. Of course not, because that's where most of the really bad problem pedophiles who control all of this are. At any rate, in those last few videos I talked about where it looked like it was going to me. Now, in the military you do map studies. And of course I'm no longer with the military. I've been out of that loop for a long time, and to get any information is virtually impossible. I have to do it from all source gathering and analysis in that way, which I think most people understand that I try to do. Funny tie, isn't it? Collar isn't quite holding up the way I wanted. Little gallows humor there. This is getting very serious. I told you when Trump went with these things in Syria, that was a problem. And the only caveat was, and we've talked about this not here, but in other places, that Russia may have gone along with this thing and pulled their people out, etc., etc. I've been doubtful of that. And tonight I received confirmation that that is in fact not the case. Let me show you on the map what's happening again so that you understand. I talked about the problem with the three-front war, and that's where we're going right now. That's where we're going. We have combat troops dispersed throughout Africa, but that's not really an issue. Not for what we're talking about, just so that you're aware that we have those going on. Apparently, as I found out tonight, I don't know, I haven't verified that, but there's now apparently an armored unit, I don't know what size, U.S., probably with some other attachments from Jordan or who knows where, going into South Syria. Okay, you have the situation in the South China Sea with the basically their imitation islands that the Chinese have been building there to control the area there. You have the problem in North Korea. The U.S. has been placing over the last year military units along the border of Russia. Okay? And that's basically how we're looking right now. And if I saw this array against me and I were Russia and China, I would guess what's coming. Now, a lot of people speculated that Trump did that little show in Syria not just to go after the Assad regime, which is really what they're doing. He's going against his campaign promises in that regard, regime change, but supposedly to show China and North Korea that we're serious. You know, and I hear this from people like Judge Jeanine Pirro and lots of other of these. You know, I was a supporter of basically what Trump started out as, but it's now changed. It's not that anymore, ladies and gentlemen, and you're being fooled. Okay? So you're basically supporting your own demise now and going against the principles of our country, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and I'm just going to say that. And I'm going to talk about that more in just a minute. So what we have here now is a three-front war, just like I was warning about. It's developing at this point. I want to show you something that's important about military operations. China and Russia will likely join forces in this, as will Iran will join them. Probably, well, a whole bunch of countries here could join. And of course, we'll call them the axis of evil, even though they're not the aggressors in this. The important thing to look at, and this is why the Germans have failed, this is why Napoleon failed when they try to take over Russia, because they have entire internal lines of communication, not to mention the weather and other things. Now, the United States thinks that they can overcome that with their technology. Ain't going to happen, okay? It's going to be the same thing all over again. And your sons and now your daughters, because they're going to ask for them. No, they're not going to ask for them. They're going to take them. They're going to throw them into this quagmire, okay? They're going to do that to you. So that little fireworks display in Syria wasn't just a warning. It was a softening up, basically, okay? And who knows how many other places they've hit or are hitting. Tillerson changed his mind from, oh, we're not doing a regime change, to yes, we are. Everything is a lie. Everything. Even from these people that we thought we could trust, and we can't because there are too many neocons in there. And they want this prize. And then they're going to come after this. All the patriots, everybody who believes in the Constitution, all that. But frankly, I don't think they're going to survive this. I don't think we will. Okay, so what makes me think things have changed, have gotten bad? Well, there's been this speculation that Russia was going along with what was happening here in Syria. I want to read to you what Medvedev said tonight, okay? This is extremely important. Take me a second to pull this up here. So now it's not what we've been told. This is what Medvedev said. And if you don't know who he is, go look it up. This is what he says, okay? That's it. The last remaining election fog has lifted. Instead of an overworked statement about a joint fight against the biggest enemy, ISIS, the Islamic State, the Trump administration proved that it will fiercely fight the legitimate Syrian government in a tough contradiction with international law without UN approval. In violation of its own procedures stipulating that Congress must first be notified of any military operation unrelated to aggression against the U.S., on the verge of a military clash with Russia. Nobody is overestimating the value of pre-election promises, but there must be limits of decency. Beyond that is absolute mistrust, which is really sad for our now completely ruined relations, and which is good news for terrorists. One more thing. This military action is a clear indication of the U.S. President's extreme dependency on the opinion of the Washington establishment, the neocons. The one that the new president strongly criticized in his inauguration speech. Soon after his victory, I noted that everything would depend on how soon Trump's election promises would be broken by the existing power machine. It took only 2.5 months. There you are, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you're supporting, Piro. That's what you're supporting. All of you Trump supporters. And I was one, okay? I understand this. You're hoping for this, but this is not what you're being told. This is entirely opposite to what you're being told. This isn't America rising again. This is you being sold out to the New World Order and to the deep state and to a feudal system of enslavement if you survive this coming catastrophe. It's late at night. I don't know how this is going to develop through the next several hours. It may change by the time I get this up in the morning. I don't know. But that's how serious this is. So everything you've been told is a lie. Okay, everything that Trump promised was nothing more than bait. In fact, we got the same thing as Hillary Clinton in the White House. Oh, there have been some nice economic changes, like, you know, getting rid of the TPP and all that. But compared to this, that's nothing. That's nothing. And I'm not even sure it will stay in place. All that could be reversed just as easily as were reversed by him, supposedly. Okay, where everything is a problem now. The division line between men and women is going to be even more eradicated. They're going to steal your daughters for this, not just your sons. And if that's what you want, I'm here to tell you, if this is what you want, you've got it. I can't do anymore. It's plain as day. This is just a simple CGSC War College map study. I don't have to go any further than that. I can see exactly what's happening. So that's where we are. I might get this up right away. You might see it early morning. I don't know. But events are going to happen probably fairly quickly. We're in trouble. The New World Order outflanked us. We trusted a deceiver. I feel bad. I honestly don't believe that Melania is a part of this. I'm not so sure about the rest of his family. I'll be back with you later, I hope.